There we are. It doesn't make sense to talk when you're not actually live yet. I hit a couple buttons, but I didn't hit all the right ones. So no countdown, which is fine, I guess. Welcome, everybody. Techthusiasm Live podcast, hanging out here on a Wednesday night. It's been a couple weeks since the last live. I've been up to a variety of things. Share some stories about that, some things in and around the home theater here, some news in and around the home theater space. We got some Kaleidescape news this week, amongst other things. So we'll jump right in. Dialogue, have some fun. If you have any questions, feel free to sound off. Let me know who's out there. Leave a comment. Say hey. Hit the like button if you would on the way in. And of course, if anybody likes to leave any super thanks, super chats during the stream after the fact, any of those types of channel supports, do feel free. So it's been a busy couple weeks in the Techthusiasm space. March is a busy month in our household. There's a couple of birthdays in the household, not mine. So we've been working on that. We headed up to northern Michigan for a little 3-day ski retreat. My second time on skis in a little over 20 years, but I took to it pretty well. I think it was almost like riding a bike. So we had some fun up there. I borderline concussed myself on the last day. Maybe later on, I got a video, not of the incident itself, but we were trying to ski backwards. My daughter had picked up how to turn around and actually go down the hill backwards on her skis. And I said, hey, I could probably do that. And I did it very successfully for a little while. But on the umpteenth or so try, spinning around, it didn't work out. I crossed my tails and fell right back. So I had a little bit of a scrambled some eggs with that one. I had a sore neck through the weekend, and I don't advise it. Wear your helmets. I'm very glad I had a helmet on while we were skiing. But on the theater front, it's been pretty fun. We finally getting into some Marvel content. We started the MCU movie sequence, basically going to watch them, I think, in original release order. So we're only one in, but Iron Man 1, been a long time since I watched Iron Man 1. And I think it's interesting rewatching some of the movie content after having spent a lot of time reading all the original 1960s Marvel, some of the stories that I hadn't read before, and the real, true, like original originations of a lot of those characters and some of the plot lines and all that stuff. So that was pretty fun. So we'll go into the Hulk and onward from there. My little guy got the Avengers Lego Tower for his birthday, so we're still very much having a heavy Marvel enjoyment, enthusiast, fan household going on here. Still playing some of the Marvel Champions and stuff along those lines. I've also been watching X-Men 97. I put up the community post about that. I honestly think that's some of the best content that I probably watched in a good while. It's definitely the best X-Men content that I think Marvel Studios in any form has ever produced. Episode 4, I think, just went live today. So I'll probably go try to catch that after the live stream. But super impressed with that show. If you're anything remotely an X-Men fan, particularly a comic book X-Men fan, I always felt that the Fox X-Men movies were a bit of a travesty to what like the original comic book vision was. It was the Fox movies that changed the costumes away from like comic book, and then the movie garbage ended up having to be reflected in the comic book stories for a while. And I didn't care for that era of X-Men storytelling in the comics hardly at all. But what they're doing with X-Men 97 is like harkening back to this real sweet spot of like X-Men storytelling from, say, what would be about somewhere around the 80s, I guess, mid-ish 80s. Just before I bought my first X-Men comic and started reading like issues 200 and so on. They're just taking inspiration right out of those stories. I think the animation was superb. The characterizations were awesome. They made Cyclops into like this stalwart leader. He's still a little mopey and a little sad. Of course, he just basically lost his second father figure, but that makes sense. But when it came to the battle scenes, the combat scenes, man, Cyclops they did Cyclops right, using the optic blasts for really unique ways, saving himself falling from the sky with just like the kind of a confidence and a swagger. Cyclops should be like the Captain America of the X-Men, the mutant universe. Essentially, he should be like this stalwart Boy Scout, confident tactician, secure leader, and they were doing him right. And I like the mature themes that they kind of put on the show. I don't think I've ever seen a cartoon, an animation like that, aimed at like an older demographic of fan now, like myself, of course, an older fan that's in their 40s that has been a fan of this stuff for a long period of time. Sometimes when they go mature, they just go stupid. They go kind of off the deep end, but like the combat's brutal. People are getting hit, right? And they've got some blood coming out of their mouth. The characters have to make some hard decisions. Spoiler alerts, I guess, like the scene where they need to deliver the baby and the doctor won't do it. And so it's like, what are we going to do? We have to have this baby delivered safely. It's like, all right, let's have the scary mutant, right, use her powers to steal the knowledge from the human doctor so that she can deliver the baby. I thought that scene was like just incredibly mature and heavy at the same time, where they're trying to write this story about humans fearing mutants. But at the same time, right, these mutants are there to help and they're still being discriminated against, but they have to still take care of their own safety. So they do something that's not so nice, right? Kind of like stealing from the human doctor to be able to do. It's just so much good stuff stacked up. And episode 3 with the Inferno storyline was almost a little bit of like a horror show. So I'm digging that show. Every episode, as I was watching it, I was just in my mind, just like, holy cow, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they did it like that way. They hit like this perfect story beat from the comics. They're taking a lot of the good that they had from the original show in the 90s, but washing away some a little bit of the silliness and some of the inconsistencies and lack of say like comic book continuity, and just flat out kind of replacing it where they need to with the right type of story and storytelling. So I think, again, the animation is awesome. The color is great. I watched it in the living room. I didn't bother going down to the theater to watch it. It's a widescreen. So actually going down to the theater would be the way to go. Maybe I'll actually do that tonight for episode 4. But yeah, I think that show is better than probably any live action MCU stuff that has been put out in quite a while. I think they actually, maybe the last really good live action MCU stuff through the current stretch of time that I felt was good was like the Hawkeye TV show, and then you got to go back a little further in the movies from there. Although I haven't seen Guardians 3 yet, that probably stands out as one of the better movies, more recent movies in the in the MCU. But for me now, it'll be a long time before I catch up probably to the most recent MCU movies, because we'll be going through from the original. So I got some 24 odd movies to catch up to real time. So yeah, so I was over the moon with that. I was absolutely digging it. If again, check it out. Yeah, some people I don't enjoy like the animation side of things, but really I thought it was a really superior, some of the most superior Marvel content, cinematic content that I've seen, movie, TV series, live or animation aside. So I hope they can build on that. It would be great to see Marvel video content ascend to a high level again, and especially in animation. Like DC is always kind of DC has eaten Marvel's lunch in animation the same way that for a long time Marvel was kind of eating DC's lunch when it came to live action. DC has a really good sequence of releasing comic book inspired animated films where they tell the stories from really marquee comic stories, comic series, comic titles, and stuff like that. They've done a better job on the animation side, DC has, but Marvel is stepping up their game with this show. So we continue to watch Lego Masters as well. I continue to remain subscribed to Hulu. I thought it was interesting that the merge kind of finally went through. You can subscribe to Disney Plus and Hulu in a combined way now, although there's some hitches to that. I want to hit a couple comments, and we'll talk about that in a second. Olympus E, welcome. Wish Disney would put out enhanced IMAX on Blu-ray. Yeah, they're starting to get more of their content out on disc, so we'll see how that goes. Hello to Ren and Julius. Did you say that's on? Yeah, X-Men 97 is on Disney Plus. Disney Plus exclusive, as far as I understand. So I subscribed to Hulu just for the purpose of watching the Lego Masters show. We were watching that as a family, little guys all into Lego. That's been really fun. I think that show is pretty well done. It's pretty funny. It doesn't do some of the silly reality show stuff. It does some of it, I guess, but we've had fun watching it. But I subscribed to Hulu just for that. There's 4 seasons. It's taken us a little bit to get through it, but I think it was just last week or so they did the merged Disney Plus Hulu combo, and we did see the merging of content. So there were, now that I'm subscribed to both things, there is Hulu content showing up actually in the Disney Plus app, which is pretty nice. I don't think all of it's there. They have like the asterisk on it that not all of the Hulu content will show up in Disney Plus, but a lot of it is. However, I didn't see any like discount or anything because I was already a Disney Plus subscriber. I subscribed to Hulu independently. After the merge, I would have expected something to happen, but and I was just on chat right before the live stream. I fired up chat because my operative plan was that with the family, like, let's make sure to finish season 4 of Lego Masters before Hulu bills again, because I don't want to pay $18 more just to like watch a final episode and have this thing sit here for a month. And so I'm like, well, I'll get on chat and see if there's any way to merge them, because I logged into my accounts and I couldn't find a way to do it. Well, it turns out I have Disney Plus on a yearly plan that renews in like January. So it's a couple months into its last renewal. And I did Hulu on a monthly plan. And when you do the combined thing, you can get Hulu and Disney Plus for $20 a month, no ads. But there's no yearly version of the combined plan. So you would think that you could subscribe yearly. It'd be $240 a year. You should be able to subscribe yearly for $200. There's no option to do that, in the chat agent confirmed that. So I thought that was kind of lame. So like, well, we can cancel your yearly Disney Plus and refund you back, and we can cancel your monthly Hulu, and then you can just resubscribe for $19.99 a month. But yearly Disney Plus is $140, and subscribing monthly to both things would be $240. So you're paying an extra $100 a year for Hulu. But I don't think I'm going to end up keeping Hulu. I was actually thinking about cutting back on some of the subscriptions. I know I use them for video content, and I like to check on the streaming bit rates and stuff like that. But I'm kind of like subscribed to everything right now, and we're really just not watching that much TV anymore. We're tending to actually watch more Disney Plus than anything else. So I was actually contemplating for the first time in a while to go ahead and like cancel Netflix, cancel Paramount Plus, cancel Hulu, of course, when we're done with Lego Masters, and basically just pull back to Disney Plus, Peacock. I want Peacock because I want the WWE premium live events and stuff like that. WrestleMania coming up in 3 days. Hall of Fame Friday night, WrestleMania this weekend. One of the biggest WrestleManias ever. I cannot wait for WrestleMania and in the Bloodline Cody Rhodes story to hit its completion. If there's any wrestling fans, sound off in the comments. Although, actually, WWE just signed a licensing agreement with Netflix as well, so their content is coming. So I don't know. I've been debating a change up in some of these services. I'll probably make a video about that, kind of musing on the state of streaming video and everything. Even almost contemplating canceling YouTube TV as well, and really, really pulling back to just a couple of core services that we use. I don't think I really need them all in order even to make the streaming bitrate videos and keep up on that stuff. So not sure where I might go with that. Yeah, so curious. What do you subscribe to, and what do you like? So right, ESPN Plus also coming. Yeah, I think that you can do like the trio, like the ESPN, Hulu, Disney Plus trio right now as well. Yep, so watch Fighting UFC. So the UFC must be on the ESPN. It's good. Like if you consume all the content from all the different services, it does work out. Watch more Paramount Plus for FBI shows and Fire Country and SWAT TV. Oh, Max too. But I have Max because it's free. It still remains free on my cell plan. So I don't mind having that one kind of hang around. There's not really much that I watch on Max though. if because it's Warner Brothers and whatever, if DC put out more comic book exclusive content on Max, I might be inclined to use it more. But usually it's not necessary. There's the one show, shoot, it's at the Rick and Morty. I think I'm a season or two behind on Rick and Morty now. I was watching that on Max rather than buying those seasons as well. Olympus saying he had YouTube TV but found the image quality inferior to when he had satellite. I haven't minded the image quality of YouTube TV, but I pretty much use it to watch wrestling and news. And then we'll occasionally use it for other broadcast things like presidential debates, watch DVR and watch those, like the Thanksgiving Day parade and stuff like that. It's pretty much what we get out of it. Ren saying Max, certainly watch Gold Rush and all the spin-offs, the Discovery content. Michael, does DirecTV still require a dish or is it internet-based? I'm not even sure. I think they have different, I think they do have different offerings. I was a DirecTV user for a long time, using TiVos. That was my preferred setup for probably a good decade or maybe 15 years or so. I think when we went out east, I think everything was Verizon based out there. Maybe we still did have DirecTV when we were out east and then came back, maintained it. But then once we got into this house, we went back to cable and then eventually just cut the cord and been all internet-based TV for a while. Yeah, Julie's saying I have a package deal for Hulu and Spotify. Wow, for $11. Paramount Plus free for a year. Nice. That must be commercial Hulu though. If you got Hulu free or Hulu ad free with Spotify for $11, that's a heck of a deal. Yeah, so that's been going on. That's kind of what we're watching on the TV front. We did watch Migration a couple weeks ago. I think I might have mentioned that. And I'm not sure what other movie watching we may kind of start up with the family coming up. So I know I saw it. Where was it? We can talk some Kaleidescape news. So yeah, really was hoping that KNOS was going to have a new player. I think we might see that. Yeah, I think it's coming. I was talking to a variety of folks kind of in the back channels after the news came out. For those that didn't know, there we go. So they really just upped the sizes of the Terras. I'm kind of surprised they did it now. Usually the larger Terra server adjustment thing usually happens like right before Cedia. It's like the pre-Cedia news. I think that's happened a couple of times. Last year, though, of course, was the primes themselves. But it's funny, like this. So essentially what happened is they discontinued the 88 terabyte, which was fundamentally running 4 22 terabyte drives. And now there's a 96 and a 72, which I think is a fine offering, actually, because before there's a pretty big gap, I think, between whatever the next size down from 88 was. So it makes sense to have a little bit of a spectrum. 96 terabyte, of course, means that they just changed it to 4 24 terabyte drives. And then what's the other one? I think 18, 72 divided by 4. Yeah, so the other one's running 18 terabyte drives. So I don't know. I can surmise a couple things here. I think kind of per my couple of my replies to the postings that were there. Perhaps 22 terabyte drives were just not as readily available anymore. And so 24 was, maybe they felt it was a good like marketing spectrum to make sure that they had another option between like the smaller sizes and, oh wait, I'm actually looking at the wrong one. It's the solid states. Yeah, Terra primes. So what do we have now? We have 96, 72, 48, 22, and then 8, with 22 and 8 being compacts, and then 48, 72, and 96. So that is a better spread. Like 48 to 88 was a pretty big spread. Now 48 to 72 to 96 is a nice kind of boom, boom, boom. It would have been cool. I wonder if they contemplated if there actually are like 26 terabyte drives or whatever that they could have had, right? They could have had a triple digit 100 plus terabyte unit, which I think might have been pretty cool. But you know, it is what it is. It's not really that groundbreaking of an announcement. I would expect, not to downplay it a little bit, but if again, just conjecture, and as an engineer, as a software hardware person, right? They're buying these drives, and there's got to be the drive market is constantly changing. Newer, bigger hard drives are being released in regular cycles from the hard drive manufacturers. K would want to move with those new drive releases in a bit of a lockstep, so to speak. And they would, of course, want to be able maximizing what they're doing, cost of goods and all that. They're going to want to make sure that they're buying drives at effective market prices. And if some drives are costing more, newer, bigger drives come, and it's more cost effective to change. Maybe the manufacturers decided to discontinue 22s because the hard drive manufacturers don't necessarily need to make hard drive models with like 2 terabyte increments, right? All the way from 8 to 30 and in excess of 30, like we have right now. So I would fully expect, like it's just my basic expectation that once a year or so, maybe once every 18 months, the sizes of the teras changes because they're just following the hard drive market. And I don't know what the prices on these are supposed to be. They don't put the SRPs, MSRPs up here, but my hope would be that a 96 costs now what an 88 previously cost, that there's not a price increase for this. And then the 72 would be priced relatively somewhere between where the 48 was and where the 72 was. But it's kind of funny. I'll poke a little fun at folks. I don't know if it's like a little bit of like the echo chamber that's out there, or there's just I don't know, like the posts about this hit. I saw it on a variety of Facebook feeds, and I saw a variety of folks like kind of that I know in some of circles and spaces, like this is awesome, this is awesome. It's like, why is it so awesome? It's just like a marginally larger size of the same unit. It was awesome when they did the prime servers, but it's just, this is just business. So that's pretty cool. What is interesting is not a marginal size difference in the teras. It's this right here. Oop, show any videos. Stop. Go away. This one was linked to me courtesy of one of the video comment posts. Geez, Vanity Fair, Variety, whatever. So luxury tech brand Kaleidescape expands into cinema business with service to bring library titles to theaters. So this was on Variety, exclusive video or exclusive article from Variety. But what they're doing is setting up to sell Kaleidescapes to theater owners. They could basically use the Kaleidescape as a player in a theater. And if you think about what this is doing, right, they could download assets to a Kaleidescape player, probably at a much more significantly better hardware and cost of access to content. Easy simplicity to like have these in a commercial theater, or think of maybe like a smaller theater. They've got a whole bunch of them set up for this pilot program. But if they actually have access to the entire backstock catalog, right, of Kaleidescape, maybe they have to make special agreements as well to carry content. But if a theater owner wants to do a special run of a certain movie, and they're able to procure it now under this license agreement through Kaleidescape, they're able to buy the content to show it. Like this is huge. I think this is really cool. This is the really cool news. Again, not 8 terabytes larger on a tera. So this is interesting. And I think the cool part about it as well is it's the ripple effects of it, right? This is like a whole new business segment model for Kaleidescape to participate in. And if the company can go be successful in this market and make a bunch of more revenue, right, from a completely establish another independent revenue stream in a different market from different spenders than all of us home theater folks that are buying the unit for home, like that's good things, right? That's good times. Revenue and hopefully profitable revenue means growth and opportunity for Kaleidescape, which means any owner and user of the platform benefits. Maybe they can go make a bunch of money with commercial style sales, right? And then the home user, maybe they can reduce margins a little bit. Maybe this is an enabler for some price improvement and that sort of thing on the home use side. If this is a bigger, higher margin type of business, I don't know anything about that, so I'm completely everything I'm saying right now is conjecture. Other than that, I'm legitimately excited to see that they're launching another business opportunity, another type of revenue stream. I did put the link in there to Variety. It's linked in the comments as well from the community post today. But yeah, so for the folks that are like, oh, this is awesome, 96 terabyte Tera, that's so cool. No, this is what's cool. This is what's cool. So we'll see what happens. I think yeah, it's been a little while. Kaleidescape. I was talking with some other folks as well, Michael, and Michael specifically, right? It's it's been a little quiet since the primes came out through the end of the year, the beginning of this year. The store is kind of chugging along. We're kind of getting some stuff. There's been a lot of things announced for 4K disc. There have been 4K upgrades and some other things kind of hitting. We're all waiting patiently in, here in 2024, hopefully for a new generation of Strato player to follow a Strato Prime, so to speak, to follow the Tera to Tera Prime upgrade. So we'll see what happens. We're already getting it to the April though. Anytime. I think we could see something anytime between now and potentially Cedia. So there's a couple of these comments. Michael saying he spoke to Case Support today. Oh, if you have an SSD Prime and HD Prime on the network, it prioritizes downloads. That's cool. Yeah, they needed to be doing stuff like this. It should always movies should always download to the fastest storage and then offload overnight. Yeah, used stuff is still flowing. Hardware looks like it's moving on the forum again. Yeah, that might have just been a lot. It was hard to sell used stuff at the end of last year in general, I think. So now we're kind of past the holidays. We're past tax season, or well, almost past tax season. A lot of people probably have filed their taxes and gotten that stuff done. So I think as we get into spring, it becomes a little bit more of like a spending season. So Red saying about studios, I don't think they would. Well, maybe I don't think they would have taken it this far if they would have made this announcement and this information would have come out and they would have started offering these and they would have established the pilot program. Like all of this stuff wouldn't have happened if they probably didn't have a reasonable agreement in place or expectation and whatnot that they could serve the content. So I'd imagine they would have had to make the content available first, and then go from there. See, Michael saying, do commercial cinemas use Atmos? Yeah, I think so. Well, Dolby Cinemas and stuff. I'm like the speakers are there. I presume that they can plug all of the audio and video formats that would come out of the Kaleidescape system and play them to the audio and video systems in those theaters. And I would imagine it would work out. I wonder too if they're really doing anything different, like if there's kind of a different model of hardware that's going to these folks, or if it is kind of just the same units that we're all buying for our home use. So yeah, I thought that was pretty slick, pretty cool, and I definitely am excited to see. Too bad they're not like a public company and they don't have to report earnings and stuff like that. And then we would be able to see in a year some feedback or breakdown and whatnot around where the different revenue streams are coming from and how the business is kind of shaping up a home market versus this new kind of commercial application and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited for that. Otherwise, yeah, stuff going on here. So the MadVR is continuing to run great. I'm in talks with the folks. At this point, I'm feeling pretty hopeful that I think that the MadVR hopefully stays where it is. But we're having some conversations, some dialogue, and whatnot. We need to kind of lay out a plan. But I'm still absolutely digging. I put up the video this past Monday, all about kind of how the configuration of like the projector and a fixed lens memory installation mode, filling a screen and how that maps to the like aspect ratio assistant in the Mad VR settings, and then what that means in terms of like different aspect ratio contents coming through and using nonlinear stretch, using it versus not using it, and the configurations, applying them to specifically different detected aspect ratios and all that. So my plan is to still continue to make. I've got in mind a variety, a handful more, at least, of videos along that same of like kind of topic and like technical depth of like what the video processor is all about, what it's doing in the system, how it works, and the settings and different things related to that. So the next one I'll probably knock out. I think we'll have more to do with like subtitle detection and above and below the screen detection, where it's able to squish down and then squish back up, and some of the settings and stuff related to that. So with any luck, I should be able to record that video probably soon, get back on track. I had the aspect ratio one already done and ready to go from before we took our ski trip. At the end of last week, we were gone like Wednesday to Friday, and then the weekend was still busy. So I need to get cracking as we go into this upcoming weekend and knock out some more content, edited videos, produced videos, and all that. So the other thing that I kind of teased talking about a little tonight was the projector move remains, in my opinion, very successful. In the last live stream, we kind of broke that down and talked that through, and I did go ahead and kind of revoice over the projector reinstall vlog and posted that video. So that one's doing pretty well also. And I did double check after we watched Iron Man, so another 2 hours ish, a little more than 2 hours plus running, feeling pretty good about, like, I think that projector is just fine, like in that closet, in that cubby. And so I had mentioned in the last live stream, well, I'll probably buy something to keep an eye on it. So I picked these guys up. These were just on Amazon. Govee Smart Thermo Hygrometer. So it measures temperature, it measures humidity, and it can do a couple of other calculations. This was a 2-pack, $20. I think I linked an Amazon link in the community post if you're looking for something. This one doesn't have the batteries in it, so it's not on. But I opened one of them up earlier, and I ran an experiment. But this is pretty cool. So it tells you current temperature. It tells you a min and a max, and you can reset the time range for the min and max. Same thing for humidity. They're Bluetooth enabled. And they connect to a phone app. There's a Govee Home phone app, which they connect. It's pretty easy. Like, setup was a snap. It connected right away. You can name them. If you got a bunch of these things, you can name them. And there's a cloud aspect to it if you register an account. I think it said, oh shoot, what is it? It's like 2 years. It'll store like 2 years of data or something in the cloud account. Every time I pulled my phone out to connect to it, it hit pretty soundly. So what I did is, after dinner, I went down and I put one of these essentially in the closet underneath the projector, kind of about halfway back, literally just right under the middle of the projector, side to side, in front to back. So I put this in there, and then I played a movie. We didn't watch it, but I started, turned the whole system on, and I ran it with Across the Spider-Verse or something, I think is what I played. 2 hour and 20-minute movie. And I plotted the temperature. And so here's what we got. Let's go. Here we are. So this is a screenshot just before the live stream. So I start 18 o'clock, right, 6 o'clock p.m. today. I put this thing in. When I initially turned it on and got started with it, I was sitting in my kitchen, just sitting in the kitchen around the corner there. And so immediately it was like, oh, it's about 72 degrees in here. Got it all set up, took it downstairs and set it in in the closet again, right underneath the middle of the projector, same shelf the projector is on. Of course, the projector is elevated, and there's like that channel uh, of space underneath it. Immediately, the temperature dropped. Of course, it's the basement. It's cool. It's much cooler downstairs in the basement. So I didn't leave it down there long enough to see kind of where the temperature would have actually hit a floor at. Um, I don't think I can connect right now. It's probably been cooling off. Um, let's see if we can get a. I think I'm too far away right here. Oh no, it connect. No, did we connect? 8:45. Yeah, I think I might need to walk over that way a little. No, data sync complete. So let's see. Yeah, so right now it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit down there. So initially it dropped it down to 62. So I think it's steadily. You can actually see. Well, I'll show that in a second. All right, so we got down, set it down there, stasis. We got down to 62 degrees, and then I started that movie. Started that movie about right here. Was that probably something like 6:20 or so? Actually, probably more about right here, 6:15, give or take. And I left the room. I closed the door. Came back a little bit just before the live stream there, and this is I turned the projector off. The movie was done. It was back at the Kaleidescape menu, but for that period of time, I think where things kind of leveled off was when the movie kind of ended, or well, or at least we hit a point here actually for this last 40 half an hour at least, probably 40 minutes maybe stretch right here, where I think this is about as hot as it was going to get. So that's roughly what less than 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So that projector in the closet with the curtain down, shooting through the hole that I cut, um, over the course of a 2+ hour movie, almost 2.5 hour movie, didn't even hit back to 70 degrees ambient temperature around the projector. So I think that's, to me, that I guess that feels pretty good, nice and cool. And then as soon as the projector went off, there we can see how quickly the temperature started to drop back down. It's essentially in like a geothermal chamber, more or less, where that poured wall of the foundation is, and it's sitting in there. Ground temperature is here. That depth is like nominally 55 degrees or so, in the 50 degrees, and we can see. Actually, if I show this one, the let me go back to here. So that was my last read, right there again. So there's that initial drop when I went downstairs. There was the peak up as the movie played, and we're still going down. So current temperature just under 66 degrees. Oh, it just updated again, 65.6. So we're getting a live feed there. If I try to update it again, so I'm curious. I'll check it again tonight or tomorrow morning, later tonight, and see where the floor, yeah, where the temperature floor ends up. Probably somewhere around like 60 degrees. I'm guessing is the nominal temperature. So for all the naysayers out there that were concerned about the projector overheating, I'm not concerned. 70-degree ambient operating temperature in the space around the projector is fine. And even after we did Iron Man, I felt the curtain. I felt all over the curtain because I was curious. Like, does this curtain feel warm? Um, does the curtain feel warm at all to the touch? Not at all. Not at all. There's actually between the front end of the projector and the curtain, there's a pretty good space, more than several inches, probably even almost close to, and not quite a foot, under a foot, but more than several inches of clearance space. So that hot air blowing out of the projector has plenty of space to blow out into, to dissipate. The backside, right around the opening of the cloth, it wasn't even warm to the touch. So I feel good about that. I'm going to leave that in there. keep an eye on it for the next couple movies we watch, stuff like that. And then I might actually, just for science, I might put the other sensor like in the rack in the storage room, because I'm curious as well, like how does the storage room heat up because of like amp heat nominally. Now with the Class D NADs, I wouldn't expect it to really have any significant impact or change in there, or like after a gaming session, a couple hours of gaming, the PC running in there is actually heat the room up. I think it should have minimal effect, but hey, I've got it now. It's fun. Again, a 2-pack for $20. If you're curious to know some elements of temperature and humidity around your home theater gear, check it out. These seem to be a pretty good little buy. So I thought that was fun. A couple questions coming in here. Julius, didn't you say you wouldn't use the MadVR? Yeah, definitely don't. You do not want to run gaming through a video process, in my opinion. Lumagen, possibly some folks will game on it, but to me, I would just look to bypass the video processor entirely to be on the safe side for gaming. And the other reason that you will want to bypass the video processor is that none of these video processors will properly pass through an HDMI 2.1 signal. So if you had a contemporary projector, which I don't have, but if I had a JVC NZ, an Epson LS 12,000, a newer Sony, or actually the newer Sonys lack some of those HDMI features, or perhaps the new models that are perhaps allegedly, hopefully shipping in the fall, right? You wouldn't want to run those signals through either a Lumagen or a MadVR, because the input pass-through outputs are not HDMI 2.1 capable. So they would decimate the HDMI signal just passing them through. But you got to be careful. So you bypass the MadVR for gaming, which means bypass the MadVR. Take your HDMI, another HDMI line, and go completely around the MadVR, not through it and out the pass-through port. If you care about higher bandwidth HDMI 2.1 resolution frame rate combos. So when I did I still haven't pulled the cable. When I did the reinstall, I set another cable on the back of the projector, and it's just sitting in the closet. I need to pull it through my cable chutes and get it into the storage room, plug it into HDMI output 2 of the Anthem, and then I would have a properly set up bypassed structure. So still need to do that for 2 reasons. One is that it will allow me to change inputs with the same source content playing, and to be able to compare and contrast how I feel about MadVR tone mapping for HDR versus JVC tone mapping for HDR, which is the only real way to kind of test those side to side directly. And then, of course, the other one would be gaming. But as I've commented in some of the video comment discussion, as it is, I don't even really game in the theater anymore. We game in there. My son plays Minecraft and stuff, and he just does it in the living room. We wouldn't have him go downstairs and play somewhere else. Usually just by virtue of the fact that you tell him to stop and then he doesn't stop. So we want him to be doing it somewhere where we can see him. I've even actually hardly even game. We did a little bit of family gaming. My son, for his birthday family activity evening, whatever, he wanted to play some Overcooked. We had some fun actually that night. We beat some levels and stuff. But we do that stuff. We do it in the living room. We don't go down to the theater. And as it is anyway, my projector, that NX7, it doesn't do HDMI 2.1. It doesn't do VRR. Gaming is a superior experience on the LG G2 by far, despite the size and the immersiveness of the projector. So, but yeah, bypass is important. I probably should make a video just titled that, beware the bypass or something like that, to really drive that point home. Because I was from when I made the one video a couple weeks back about the MadVR and its HDMI ports and how it's set up, And in that video, I kind of used more longer form about different ways that you could do things versus like the way that you probably really should do stuff, and especially now that I've had a little more time to kind of learn and think about it. So Michael asking, the Lumagen has so many HDMI ports, is it installed completely different? Um, I wouldn't say that either option is completely different. The one thing that the Lumagen can do in terms of its setup that you can't do with the MadVR is that the MadVR has to go between the so you have all of your sources funneling through a switch, which is probably your receiver or your preamp. Then you go to the MadVR, then you go to the projector. So the MadVR always wants to be the last device before the display in that setup and like in that structure. And then a Lumagen can do either or. So a Lumagen can go into the same spot. You can go sources into receiver preamp, into the Lumagen, onto the display, which is actually how I set up. That's how I set up the Lumagen when I had it. I did it the same way that I'm doing the MadVR right now. But because the Lumagen has the ability to do multiple HDMI inputs, the Lumagen can be your switch. And because the Lumagen also has a video and an audio HDMI output, what that means is you can have your sources plugged into the Lumagen, and then the Lumagen can go separately out to your display and separately out to your audio system. Now, if you have the 5000 series Lumagen, they advertise and claim as a feature that it does like some HDMI audio clocking things, and some folks will contend that results in like less distortion and better clarity and detail in your audio. I don't know, especially for digital audio that's compressed. I'm not sure about that claim. I've never tested it myself with the 5000 series. The other thing that lets you do in the Lumagen, of course, is then you can have per input settings that are specific. So if you want to have a set of settings for your Apple TV input 1 and your Kaleidescape input 2 and your DVD player input 3, you can program that directly in the Lumagen. However, the MadVR can accomplish that same thing. It has effectively kind of like the Anthem has. It has virtual inputs. So given device profiles attached to virtual inputs, you can accomplish discrete settings for discrete devices the exact same way. So to me, I consider it's really just a matter of what do you want to do. The other consideration in that structure is, do you want to be able to see menus and overlays from your audio processor? And I would say that I do. I value. I'm too much of a nerd and an OCD type person. I like to know exactly what my volume is at. Am I at minus 21.5? I'm going to probably take it to minus 20, 21 or something. I like to know that. And so if you go video sources into a Lumagen, video to the display, audio to the audio system, you the audio element is now not providing any video output. You don't get overlays. So again, to me, it's a superior methodology to switch through a receiver preamp and then go to the video processor and then onward. So if some way, somehow, circumstances result in the envy that I do have being moved on to another returned or moved on to another demo or reviewer, and some way somehow I end up buying a Lumagen, I would buy like a 4240, I think it is. I would buy the smallest Radiance Pro that you can get, basically, because I don't need I only need one HDMI input, and I only need one input, one output. And so I think it's silly to pay for more ports on a Lumagen that I wouldn't use. And the 4000 series does pretty much everything the 5000 series does, except have as many ports and do audio reclocking. But again, I would consider audio reclocking to be of maybe some dubious value for the digital types of audio that we're passing through it. And if you're not sending the separate audio to your audio system, you're not really taking advantage, I think, of its audio reclocking anyway. So yeah, 4240 or whatever is the best, kind of the best bet in the Lumagen. So Julie is saying, I wonder why MadVR does not put 2.1. That isn't a cheap unit. It doesn't really have anything to do, I think, with, well, let me rephrase that. It does output HDMI 2.1. It doesn't pass through HDMI 2.1. There's a real nuance there. There's an important nuance there. So the MadVR's video output is coming from the GPU, right? And it's using a 4000 series, either a 4080 or I forget the extreme has the 4080. The non-extreme is like a 4060, I think it is. But in any case, like all of the 4000 series NVIDIA cards are HDMI 2.1. So the MadVR's output is HDMI 2.1. So if you were hooking it up to an 8K TV, it can do it. It can do 48 gigabit, 4K, super high frame rate for motion AI. And it could do 8K output, 8K upscaling, all that kind of stuff. If you had the system for it, the MadVR would be able to do it on that video output from the GPU. The problem is there's another card, and I show this in the videos that I did before, but the MadVR has a second card. It's the capture card, basically, where the input signal is routed in, goes through a bunch of hardware and is processed in software, and then the signal comes out the GPU. But on the capture card, there's a pass-through output. So the input card with its input the capture card with its input HDMI and its pass-through output is HDMI 2.0B. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know if that's a card that MadVR makes, if it's a third-party card that they kind of buy and they use, just like, they don't make the GPUs that go in there. Those are off-the-shelf gaming, essentially, well, gaming and GPU processors, essentially. But I think I showed in my unboxing video, looking inside the back of it, it's a PNY card, basically. So let's assume that MadVR maybe doesn't make the capture card, and they're limited to what they can get, procure, license, etc., have made for them on the market. There may be not a big market yet for HDMI 2.1 capture and pass-through. So maybe a future version or revision of the hardware, they would be able to drop a 2.1 capture card in there. But for now, they don't. So they don't have it. So best option, again, is the bypass. Bypass the unit entirely for gaming and don't even worry about it. And if you have a remotely new receiver, premium preamp, something along those lines, that unit will have two main zone HDMI outputs, which are mirror images of each other. So one goes to the MadVR, and then that goes to HDMI 1 on your display. The other one bypasses the MadVR, goes to HDMI 2 on your display. HDMI 1 on the display is completely set up for all the different modes and settings and picture settings and process settings that it needs for the MadVR. And then HDMI 2 is set up to be the opposite. Now, in order to do that effectively too, you kind of may need a bit of an automation system, because you may want to actually be changing like color settings or HDR modes between certain pre-select modes and like user modes where other things are a little bit different. But I'm not sure. I've never actually used HDMI 2 on my GVC, so maybe I'm speaking more about something that I shouldn't, that I haven't really tested myself yet. So once I get that second HDMI line pulled, it may actually work out better than I'm thinking. Whereas like you set a certain HDR mode, color space, all these different settings, they should probably be per input, come to think of it. And so just by changing from HDMI 1 to HDMI 2, it'll do what you expect it to do. So yeah, more to come on that. And the other thing I haven't done with the MadVR is I haven't got it connected on my Control 4 system yet. I kind of don't want to bother doing that unless I know, or unless I hit a point where I know it's staying, because I have to ask Dan to put it in, and then we got to like set up a bunch of, I would end up like doing a bunch of custom programming to kind of maximize the use of the MadVR in the system. And then if it doesn't stay, I got to back all that stuff out, and then I got to ask Dan to remove and make some different connections and things. So for now, I'm just leaving the remote out, and when I turn on the home theater, I just turn on the MadVR. When I turn off the theater, I just turn off the MadVR. Again, if I get some clarity that it is in fact staying for the long haul, though, we'll get it on the Control 4 system, and then I'll be able to make a whole bunch of content about integrating it into an automation system and some of the cool things that you can do as a result of that. So TBD, just figure that out hopefully here coming up soon. Bob Gray, welcome. Are you attending M-Wave in June? Unfortunately, I just kind of confirmed to Michael that I'm not going to make it to M-Wave. I was really hoping to go this year, but we have a long-standing, pre-existing family activity that happens in the midsummer, in mid-June, and it happens to correspond to that same weekend. So I've definitely gotten to be friends with Michael behind the scenes. He's definitely like a YouTube mentor, a home theater mentor in many ways. And I was very excited to try to make it out there to the show this year. But I'll be traveling with the family the same weekend. So, or across some of the same days anyway, that it's not viable for me to go. So I do intend to go to Audio Device Live again. Yeah, next year. Yeah, I hope next year. We'll see what happens. Maybe hopefully they'll move M-Wave again, shift it a weekend or two. I don't know how long this other say commitment may extend for. Basically, my daughter plays in the soccer tournament. She has for the last handful of years. So we go out to the west side of Michigan. They play soccer in the sand on the beach. So she still has a team of girls that she's close with to go play and do that. And we're hitting the point where she's entering a new phase of age and a new level of school, and not exactly sure how the soccer future is going to pan out. So I want to go. And I don't know. Last year I played. That was something. I think I talked about that last year. I put a parents team together. We thought we were getting into a bit of a rec over 40 league, and then we got matched up with all these like ex high school college player 20 somethings, and we just got absolutely destroyed. I got rocked. I was sore for months from that experience. So I don't know if I'm playing this year. I might just be a spectator unless they can really guarantee us an old timer rec league where all of the teams are of equal capability. Something else we can chat about tonight. I want to tease this coming up. I had these folks reached out to me and offered up an opportunity to check out some new gear and do some content, see what I think about it. So I will be talking about this here pretty soon. These literally just arrived today. So if anybody's familiar with Ugreen as a brand, I know I bought their stuff here and there in the past. I bought some Ugreen cables. I'm sure I bought some Ugreen like dock type of equipment for my laptops and stuff like that. But they're launching a NAS series. They call it the NAS Sync series. Pretty cool. There's I think a single bay, 2 bay, 4 bay, 6, and an 8, all in the lineup. This was like a Kickstarter that they did that I think funded quite well. So they sent over. I got a 4 bay NAS, and they actually sent drives. They came in these boxes. It was pretty. I feel like I'm like opening up like the detonators, like the nuclear codes or something here. But so they sent over hard drives to use with the NAS. So there's 4 four 4 terabyte Western Digital Red. I think they were. Yeah, Western Digital. Yep, WD Red Plus, 4 terabytes. So 2 boxes of those. And then, I'm gonna drop it. And then the unit itself, the new NAS, nice looking box. So there's the 4-bay NAS sink, printed box and all that. Let me pull this out. Nice packaging. Oop. Foam in there, got a box of accessories. There is a power brick. I wasn't super enamored with that. And first blush, like big old power brick and a lot of cables. To me, I'm not a power brick fan. I appreciate that some folks like power bricks in their equipment, because then if like something ever happens with the power supply, okay, just turn the box a little bit. If something ever happens with the power supply, you just replace the power brick and you're good to go. But when you have a lot of devices, external power bricks are a pain to deal with. I would rather have the power supply. I think I got to get a knife. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm trying to open this whole thing up before coming online, so I didn't have to do unboxing steps to show it off. I didn't realize this was taped up here on the side. So anyway, yeah, I don't like external power bricks. You always have to figure out where to put them. It junks up cable wires, runs, and stuff like that. Not as nice to me, but so it goes. Some questions coming in about the amps too. We'll get to those in a second. So there we go. So yeah, Ugreen NAS sink, 4-bay. Oh, there we go. Got a release mechanism. Pages pop right out. This looks pretty nice. Feels hefty. It definitely feels on the level of quality of any Synology that I've used. USB ports on the front there. On the back, we got dual LAN. I think this thing has some hefty specs as well. Oh, there's an HDMI output. Actually use it. I wonder if you can just directly play media. Some more USB ports and all that. So yeah, I'll be firing this thing up. Looking forward for a review video shortly, and then possibly like a Synology versus Ugreen type of comparison video. So pretty cool. There. So the link takes you to the Kickstarter. So yeah, 4.7 million pledged, almost 10,000 backers. Still has 36 days to go. But they did some pretty cool stuff in here. Big array. So that was one of the limitations that I think was bitten a lot of people with Synology. Formerly was the like 108 terabyte array size. Now that's bigger. They've got that nicked. But I think this thing has, yeah, I can't see the specs. I'll cover it all in the content to come. Yeah, dual 10 gig ports, expandable memory, 12th gen Core i5 processor, dual Thunderbolt ports. I'm really curious to see the app integrations, curious to see what you can run on it. One of the things I really like about Synology is the package center, and like just how much support there is for different types of packages and stuff like that. They're claiming this, the all-inclusive mobile app. Synology in the past has had like 6 different apps that you use for different elements of using the NAS. They're taking a little bit of a different tack with that. And there's supposed to be a bunch of like AI powered stuff in here as well. Like if you use it for your photo library, you can do AI based photo searches and stuff like that. So pretty cool. I like storage systems. I've long been a Synology user. Actually, I've never had a non-Synology NAS. So this is the first NAS I think that I've had that is not Synology brand. I built Windows servers, and I've used those for in certain stretches of time where I decided to do my own storage solutions, and I didn't have a NAS, but always been that. So we'll see what happens. I'll see how this goes. I'm excited. It's looking so far, everything that I've seen about it, I'm pretty impressed by specs, packaging, and initial fit and finish, and all that. It's looking pretty good. So Michael's saying, surprised Synology hasn't released any hardware in a while. Yeah, I've had my DS 1821 Plus for a while now, 2-ish years, I think it's been. I bought it since the channel has been in existence, for sure, but I don't remember how long it's been. Before that, I had a smaller one, but I still only have the 8-bay populated with 5 drives, and I have a lot of space, a lot of free space on there as well. Let's see, Bob saying, bummer you can't load True NAS on the Ugreen NAS. Yeah, I'm not familiar at all yet with the software platform, so I'll get it here. Going into the weekend for sure. I'll get this thing set up, get the drives plugged in, get an array made, film some B-roll, and then really kind of put it through its paces, copy a bunch of stuff over for my Synology, and then see where things go from there. So that should be fun. And yeah, content coming about that. All right, last couple questions here. If anybody has other questions, topics, thoughts, share them. We'll start winding down. I got to go catch X-Men 97 episode 4 here, and I can already feel my throat. I'm not good for talking for many hours at a time. I could never be a teacher or a lecturer or anything like that. Double A, welcome. So got a good place to get movie posters and get them framed. I don't know. That's a good question. eBay. I haven't been a movie poster collector in a long time. I actually have a box of them downstairs, which I may have actually some real bangers in there. Maybe some really collectible stuff. I don't know what the value of some of them might be anymore, but I'm pretty sure I bought I've got real theatrical posters, double-sided ones of original Disney movies, Aladdin, and some of the 90s Disney movies. I've got the Star Wars special edition posters, but I haven't bought any in a long time. I thought that would be something for a little while that I might collect. I think I might have bought an Indiana Jones and a couple other ones too. I'm not even sure. Someday I need to open that box. Maybe we'll do it on a live stream just to even remind myself what's in it. That box was packed up, for 17 years. I think that box has been packed up of posters because we moved them out east and they stayed packaged, and then we moved back and they've been in that box since. But eBay is usually where I've looked. Instagram is another spot to look. I believe that there are folks that sell theatrical posters on IG, much like there's folks that sell comic books. I got an IG live sale for some comic books up on the side here at the moment, and I've seen some of these same folks do movie posters. Check out Elite Collectibles 11 on IG. Elite Comics 11 is one that I watch a lot for their comic book live sales. They have an offshoot for collectibles where they do toys, and they've specifically had some sellers that are specialists in movie posters and stuff like that. For frames, I just had a bunch of stuff custom framed. These two posters here, Spider-Man, Marvel posters, and on the other side of the wall, I've got a couple of Batman DC ones as well. That cost me $100, give or take, to have those kind of professionally framed. One of them had to be matted, but that was just Frames Unlimited, I think. A local franchise of Frames Unlimited worked nicely for me. There is a place that I had found as well. Let me see if I can pull up this link. Yeah, displays to go. Let me open this link up here. I was gonna buy one of these for the theater room. Actually, I've never bought it. I've been shopping it for a while. So 27 by 40, which is kind of your normal theatrical movie poster size. Movie poster frame for wall, snap open, 32 millimeter profile. But the thing about this one that was advertised, of course, it's not showing it now, is that it was like, yeah, anti-glare overlay. Because if I put a movie poster in the theater, I wouldn't want the plastic or acrylic or whatever may be in front of the poster to glare, because where I would put it would be forward of my seats over on the sidewall. But I've never bought one of these, so displays to go might be a place to look for some existing frames that might fit the bill. I'll just hit through some last comments here. Bob Gray, curious if you consider Buckeye Purify. I did. Yep. I had Dylan on. Actually, I had Dylan on for a live stream before he kind of started popping up in a couple of other places as well, because I was considering his stuff, considering the Buckeye amps, and was talking to him like, hey, like, let's do a show, let's do a live stream, and you can talk about your products and stuff like that. So I did end up going, of course, with the NADs. I think the Buckeye stuff is awesome. I think it's an incredible value for sure. It's essentially the same modules, different implementation, some different fit and finish, and a different little bit of different of a pedigree. But I think that Dylan's offerings are pretty solid value play. Pavel saying, yeah, looking at the same thing. 3x3 channel purifier from Buckeye. NAD is definitely prettier, has the toroidal. Yeah, so I like the implementation. I like the fit and finish. I like the pedigree, and all that stuff of doing the NADs. And they had a good combinations for me as well. Of course, there's the 2-channel, which is what I wanted for the living room, and then 2 7-channels using the Purify modules for the theater added up for me quite well, because I needed 11 channels. I've got 14, which means that if and when I upgrade speakers again and I ever get a set of LCRs that can be bi-amped, I can do that, and I'd be using all 14 amp channels. So if that Focal Utopia upgrade happens, it'll work out perfect, because then I can bi-amp those channels. So I had a good connection through Dan and some local distributors. So go ahead and get the NADs if you're interested. Anybody's interested in the NADs, let me know. I've got I can make some referrals, and of course, Audio Device carries it all as well. They have all the Master Series amps directly listed on the webpage now. Bob's saying, let the beauty and toroidal amperage is much less. So that depends on which Purify module you're using, because there's I forget the model numbers, but Dylan does do implementations with the higher amp Purify module, and NAD uses the lower one. There's 2 variations of that Purify module. So, oh wait, you're saying amperage versus wattage. There's a difference there too. So you got to be careful that you're comparing the right ones. So if we just pull this up real quick, it looks like Dylan upgraded his webpage a little bit. This is looking nice. So there's the ET400A and there's the ET7040 SA. So the 7040 SA is the bigger version, but this is only available in a monoblock. The one ET400A, this is the same module that's in the NADs. And they're getting more power. Dylan's getting more power out of these in the Buckeyes, because there's less of them, right, driven off of the power supply in the same unit. So NAD kicks out like 200-ish, I think, watts per channel into 8. Well, actually, no. These are these. I'm speaking out of turn here. So let's just pull it up. Oh, that M66. I love that M66. All right, so let's look at an M28. Yeah, rated power, all channels, 200 watt, 8 ohms, 340, 4 ohms. And this is 225, 8 ohms, but 425, 4 ohm. So that's where the power supply differential comes in. As the resistance goes down, these are capable of tapping into more power from the modules than the NAD is. But at higher resistance, they're really not that far apart. So it all kind of depends on what you're looking for, and what you're doing with it. I guess what you're driving and how you're driving it. And I think this is a key point right here. Most of us won't use the potential of the Purify module either way, especially on most of your speaker channels, like Atmos channels and surround channels and stuff like that. But that was also a reason I liked NAD, because I could do every speaker in my room. I wanted every speaker in my room to be on the same amp. Granted, some of that is maybe overkill, but that's what I wanted. So that's what I did. Now everything is ready. As I upgrade speakers and I put bigger and bigger speakers cascading through the room, I don't have to worry about amps and power delivery and all that stuff. So happy with it. Michael saying, do you use Premiere or Final Cut? For the videos, I use Camtasia, actually. I'm a pretty low spec YouTube infrastructure. I really need to switch over to Final Cut. Actually record in HDR and edit for color correction and stuff like that. I don't do those things yet. I need to get there. Yeah, dual. Yep, dual NAD. Yeah, that's what I got. So one M23 drives the living room full cals, and then I use the Triad rack amps for the Triad subs that are in there, and then two M28s in the theater. And I don't expect to ever buy amps. Famous last words, but I don't think I need to buy amps for a long time. And now that I did it that way in the theater, as I hopefully work towards upgrading the speakers to like Focal Utopias, and then the big IW LCR6s go into the back channels, and the IW6s go up into the ceiling. If that's my progression, as I kind of see it happening, I'm ready, and I don't need to worry about amps. And I like having it in 2 units as well. I think it's simpler that way. I like everything being the same exact spec of amplifier. So doing that with Buckeyes, right? I would have needed to buy either would have had to ask Dylan to do like multi-combo, put things together in different ways and make some bigger boxes with multiple connections and power supplies and stuff. Or I would have had to buy, geez, what, 5 or 4 at least. I'd have had to buy 4 of his 3-channel amps to get the same number of channels, if not 5 if I wanted to buy amp, and then the channel count wouldn't line up again. So all right, a few more questions here. Julius, what are your thoughts on micro LED TVs? Hearing the picture quality may match OLEDs. I think the micro LEDs are no, actually, are we talking video walls or we're talking the micro? I think they're still very much more expensive. I would say I don't have too much thought right now. I've been so happy with the LG G2 that I haven't really thought much about TVs other than that I'd like an even bigger G2. I'd like the 97-inch to fill up that cubby in there. There was no 97-inch G3, but there is a 97-inch G4, but it doesn't look like they're dropping the price on it, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't, once again, this TV year, I haven't paid a lot of attention. Other than I see a lot of folks, Whisper Status and Kenneth and TKK and those guys. Everybody really seems to love the G4 this year. So, and that wasn't the case last year with the G3. So we'll see. I think we need a little bit more time to go by before these new models start shipping, and stuff comes out. But I think certainly there's evolutions to LED that can further compete with OLED in the future. It's just a matter of what they decide to release and how the TV makers choose to invest in the tech. So not sure what's next. I don't think right now, I don't think I'll be buying an 83-inch G4 just to replace the 82 or the 83 G2. I'm sure it looks better in some ways, but I'd be remiss to want to replace the TV at the same size. It just seems wasteful to sell this one at probably a pretty significant loss and then buy, unless I had like some special deal or connection, something I could make with LG to kind of facilitate it. But at retail prices, if I were paying, I'm probably not swapping any TVs out this year. There's too many other competing interests for my dollars to do that. Cool. Hey, Terminator Juice, welcome. Just got my new Seymour screen today. Didn't have time to put it up. Went from 113-inch silver ticket scope. Oh, you went back to 16:9. Interesting. Well, 120 16:9 versus 113 scope. Let me think about this for a second. Probably close to similar sizes. I wonder if those are similar widths, actually. So you stayed the same width, but you got the 16:9 height, which will certainly make kind of setting up a variety of projection things easier. Love the Center Stage XD though, and I'm definitely a fan of AT screens. Pavel, Jeremy doing 32:9 micro LED ones living room. Yeah, we'll see. Unfortunately, I screwed that living room up, and I did not make the cubby appropriately sized to fit a 100-inch 16:9 aspect ratio television with bezels. So that was a failure mode. Failure mode from the beginning. Yeah, Bob's asking too. Terminator, let us know why'd you go back to 16:9 when you had scope. So now here we go. Gained a 1/2 inch of width. So yep, and 14.5 inches of height. So that's one of the key points, I think, if you're considering screen aspect ratios and you're changing them, you don't want to end up compromising one aspect ratio to swap to the other. This was really important to me when I went from 135-inch 16:9 to scope, is that I didn't want to go any significantly less tall because I didn't want to constrain my 16:9 image. I was used to 135 diagonal 16:9, and I lost a little bit similar to this. I lost like an inch or two, but I gained all that extra width. So I could have, relatively speaking, a similar or almost the same 16:9 size, but for the other aspect ratio now, for scope aspect ratio, I gained all this width. And I couldn't really go any higher in my setup. So like a much larger 16:9 screen would have been, for me, a terrible choice because it would have been too big and too tall. But in his case, he kept the width the same, but added height. Now he's got a much more impressive 16:9 screen size, and he's got effectively the same scope image within that. And if you want to, I'm sure you could get some panels, you could mask that off, or however you want to do it with the lens memories and shifting and stuff like that. So be wary when you're making aspect ratio choices. It's always, I think that's a really important thing to think about, is what you're going for. Yeah, 6,200 square inches of screen real estate from 4,000. Again, you're maximizing. You kept one aspect ratio constant and you maximize the other. So kind of no reason not to. And you don't even have to, in that setup now, in that kind of exchange, you don't even have to really still mess with lens memories or whatever, because you're not zooming up for scope image. You're fixing your throw to fill 16:9, and then you're just leaving it there. That's one lens memory. The only thing that you may want to, what I did formerly, or what I've done some of, at least before the Mad VR, is I would shift I would shift my scope image down so that the picture image was at the bottom of the screen, and then there would be more blank space up above rather than splitting the blank space above and below the screen. Something to maybe consider if you find that to be more comfortable to watch. So you got custom masking panels. Okay, one piece top and one piece bottom. One piece top and one piece bottom, so no seams. Yep. Yep. I know there's some other local Michigan guys. I know that they have exactly the same setup. So you just magnet in, right? Snap in or magnet pop in the panels above and below and good to go. Good to go with that. All right. Any other comments here, Pavel? I want the M66 for my stereo rig. I still love the Anthem STR. I think the STR is awesome, but the M66 is doing a lot. Packing in a lot of tech and stuff like that. Bob's saying he's got Arndal 1723S rated for 400 watt 4 ohm. Well, so again, it's 4 ohm, 400 watt 4 ohm. If you plug an NAD into that, it's 380 watt 4 ohm. So you're still coming up around the kind of the max of the speaker. If you have more than that in a 4 ohm, what is the Buckeye is 425 versus 380. You won't even, by the time you get that loud, that difference of wattage at that volume is probably borderline inconsequential, because what it would actually take you to like double volume again, requiring like a doubling of power for 3 more dB is way more than like 45 watt of spread, depending on how far back you're sitting and all those calculations and stuff like that. So I would consider that pretty inconsequential. So it's really a matter more of buy the Buckeye for value, buy the NAD for fit and finish and pedigree and implementation and stuff like that. Oh, super. Welcome, Sammy. Hello. Haven't chatted in a little while here. Any other comments? Saying, what are your thoughts on big resurgence of IMAX in cinema? Seems all big format IMAX is eating up Dolby. I don't know. I haven't been to the theater in a while now. What's the last movie we went to? Super Mario Brothers was the last movie that we went to in the cinema. And I actually borderline had to drag my kids. To go see that. They didn't even want to go. They like the home theater. So I don't know. I don't go to the show. We have an Imagine theater, which is pretty much like they have their EMAX or whatnot, but it's like the best screen in Michigan, I think, locally here when I do go to the show. But so that's what I prefer when I go. Yeah, Michael, Seymour has a great motorized masking system. Yeah, I'd love to get that at some point, especially now that I'm set up and I can fill the screen. I only need masking in one direction. Motorized masking would be awesome. Or even actually fundamentally, they have the less expensive version, which like drops the things down. It's not like the infinite location one. It's just the drop down. So you have like go up for scope, go down for 16:9. That would be cool. So that might be a future upgrade for the Techthusiasm home theater. Yeah, Terminator. Can't wait to actually see full 4K image with my JVC on the 16:9 screen with the 185 movie. Yep. Yeah, watch some of those. Well, you can do it off a disc and everything, of course, too, but like the stream some Marvel movies on Disney Plus. Ooh, man. Pavel went from an Epson to an NZ9 this year. Yeah, I'm still holding out. Trying to hold on to my dollars, and we'll see what happens. My operative plan and goal is to wait until CEDIA, see if JVC announces new models, and if there are not new models announced, then I'll just go move on an NZ9 and be done. with the projector front for a while. And if they do new models a year later from that, well, so be it. I'll get into the new models at a later time or something down the road. Unless I can build some collaboration opportunities or something with them. Excited to talk to those folks some more at Audio Device Live. I would have been excited to see them at M-Wave as well, but I'll check them out at Audio Device. Have some conversation. Who knows? Maybe my Audio Device new models could be announced, or maybe they'll even break them. Maybe the Audio Device crew can get the scoop and get JVC to announce the new models at their show instead of at CEDIA a month later. That would be pretty cool. Bob asking, did you get your SVS subs dialed in? Yeah, pretty much. They're good. They're calibrated. I've got some PEQ points set, and they've been rocking. I haven't felt the need to do much of anything with them. They're doing the job. This is actually, I don't remember. I probably shouldn't. I don't remember what these were. Honestly, I had these pictures grabbed. I think these were after calibration. Yeah, because they don't have the big. So this is how they're all running. Sub 1. I got these massive bass tips in my room. It sucks. 2, and then positions 3 in the back, 4 in the back kind of make up for it. And then this was like a combined measurement, I think, of the L, the C, and the R speakers. So that dip is the crossover point here, where there's like reinforcement coming from everything kind of playing through that zone. But pretty decent curve down the line. My room is my room. That's the best it can do till we can tear the whole thing out and redo it again at some point in the future. All right, so 10:30, hour and a half. Hit on a bunch of stuff. Fun conversation. Talking about new Kaleidescape news, not the 96 terabyte Terras, but the commercial cinema Kaleidescape news. Hopefully that means new, big, good things and lots more money, revenue, and profit for them to do cool stuff for us owners at home. Got the Ugreen stuff going. I got my sensors going. My projector's running nice and cool in its new location. MadVR is still rocking, so stay tuned to the channel. We'll be talking about a whole bunch more stuff here coming up. But I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go watch X-Men 97 episode 4. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Let me know what you think. So yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out, hanging out, having some conversation. Pavel, yeah, just brute force room modes in his submission. Yeah, when JTR. Yeah, maybe that might be the next shot. Let's get some 18-inch RS1s in there. We'll get there someday. It's all a progression. So yeah, have a good night, everybody. Julius, Bob, Terminator, Michael, Edward. Thanks everybody for coming out and hanging out. If you're doing any home theater shopping until we meet again, please consider clicking through that stuff. I've got affiliates for just about everything now. Target, Best Buy, Amazon, Audio Advice. If you're looking for something, reach out and let me know. And I'm happy to help give some advice. Check out the channel memberships. I'm actually working on something. I shared it with Michael. I made a proof of concept of something that I was contemplating bringing to the channel. A massive tease here. I'm just going to massively tease everybody. Something that I thought was really hilarious. At least my best attempt at a first proof of concept of it. But I'm not sure if and how I'm going to use it yet. I've been trying to think of like some members only stuff, get the Patreon set up and kind of like do some behind the scenes type things, some funny stuff. I had an idea for some, let's say some home theater satire that I might not feel comfortable posting on the open channel. But I think I've watched it back myself a couple times and it's cracking me up, I guess. So that's what they tell you to make on YouTube, right? Is make the content that you want to watch, and you'll find folks to share it with that share your musings and share your interests and and have a fun, make some friends and have a fun community. But I don't know. I'm a little mixed about whether we'll go down this road or not. But anyway, so I'm definitely playing around with some new concepts and other things as well. We'll see what comes to the channel. But in the meantime, consider those memberships if you would, for sure. And yeah, I appreciate everybody so much. We never did really actually do a 15K celebration as well. I think since the last live stream, that was a huge milestone for the channel. So definitely want to give a thank you to everybody that's been part of this experience. It's going to be almost 3 years. 3 years coming up in June for the whole Techthusiasm endeavor. 15,000 subs in that period of time is like huge growth on this for YouTube. So I'm glad that the stuff that I'm making is resonating. People are finding it interesting, and hopefully the content is helping folks out. I'm really trying to make unique stuff. The kind of stuff that I want to make, I think is really, or try to be unique in the space. Talk about stuff from a certain perspective. Talk about things in a certain depth. Make it vloggy. Make it fun. Make it realistic. Make it pragmatic, and all that stuff. So, yeah, gonna keep on going. Keep on trucking. All right, I'm off. My voice hurts. Time for X-Men 97, episode 4. Everybody have a great night. Thanks so much for watching. Come on back for more home theater discussion and fun.